Warriors are not born, they are made in the Indian Army. To all the brave and valiant soldiers of the country, gratitude and respect for protecting us, for always putting the country first. Namaskar, hello and welcome to this special broadcast on Sansad TV. I'm Tina Jha. As you all may be aware, 15th of January every year is celebrated as Indian Army Day to acknowledge the importance of the Indian Army and to honor the sacrifices of our soldiers and their families. The day to reiterate how grateful the nation is to the men and women in uniform for their selfless service. It was on this day back in 1949 that Field Marshal KM Cariappa took over as the Commander-in-Chief of the Indian Army from General Francis Bucher, who was the last British Commander-in-Chief of India. Extending his best wishes on the day, President Ram Nath Kovind said, "The Indian Army has been pivotal in ensuring national security. Our soldiers have displayed professionalism, sacrifice and valour in defending borders and maintaining peace." Prime Minister Modi on his part said the Indian Army is known for its bravery and professionalism, and words cannot do justice to their invaluable contribution towards national safety. In Perspective today, we will look back at how the year gone by has been for the Indian Army, the security challenges they faced and continue to face in the year ahead, their preparedness in meeting these challenges, and also the opportunities in further enhancing our defense capabilities. And to discuss these aspects and much more, I'm joined on the program by a very distinguished panel. So let me first introduce them to you. With great pleasure, I welcome on Sansad TV, Lieutenant General Retired Vinod Bhatia, former Director General of Military Operations, Mr. Shekhar Dutt, former Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Lieutenant General Retired Rameshwar Yadav, ex-Director General Infantry, and Lieutenant General Retired P.J.S. Pannu is former General Officer Commanding Ladakh. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me on the program on Sansad TV. And first of all, my greetings to you all on Army Day today. Lieutenant General Bhatia, allow me to begin the program with you. And, you know, Army Day has always been very, very significant to honor the sacrifice, the bravery of the soldiers who protect us and our families every day. But this year, it holds special significance for the fact that it falls amid the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebrations that we are observing since August 15. And in this 75th year of independence, give us an overview of the kind of security challenges that the country faces today and how the Army is preparing or tackling with these challenges.
Thank you very much, Jai Hind, and wishing all a very happy Army Day. It's been a good year for the nation and the armed forces and the Army in particular. We have had many challenges, but let me assure you and through you, the viewers and the nation, that the Army, Indian Army, is the most combat-rich and battle-hardened force in the world. And it's an effective force, effective in ensuring territorial integrity and national security. We had many challenges in the last 1 year. It's a time to review the year gone by and plan the year ahead. In that, China and COVID have been the major challenges. We also had a situation in Afghanistan, which goes down to Pakistan and impacts India. In the internal security situation, Jammu and Kashmir has seen low violence levels. I think it's not subcritical, but one of the least in many years. Northeast has been relatively quiet. It's more of a law and order issue now, not a public order issue. But the major challenges remain in northern borders in China and COVID and looking after the traditional security challenges also. As far as China is concerned, let me just take a minute on that. I think we have surprised China with our strategic resolve, with the resilience. China did not expect us to stand by and stand by the way we have, and that has been one major plus. And we have created decision dilemmas for China and the PLA, where now they do not know how to carry on ahead. If you look at the situation in line of action control, it has not escalated at all after June 2020, and that credit should go to the armed forces and the Army in particular, and the soldiers who are experienced and who have the resilience to survive and secure our high-period borders, especially in the high Himalayas. So that has been a very major thing. And China also, for the first time after 1979, has vacated territories which it had, forward deployed in Pangong and other areas also. And we are talking to them And we have a philosophy of no blinking, no brinkmanship, whereas LEC is concerned. So these are the pluses out there. Now, when you look at Pakistan, we will see that Pakistan has not escalated the proxy war outside Jammu and Kashmir. There have been some escalation in Jammu and Kashmir violence levels. We have targeted the soft targets, but nothing more has been done, and that is a very good sign because Pakistan understands that they will have to. That India is capable of raising the cost, as we've seen after Uri surgical strikes and after Pulwama and the precision airstrikes at Jabbar Top, which is the terrorist training camp. I call it Jabbar Top and not Balakot by design. So we see that we are prepared, fully prepared, and we salute the Indian soldier. He costs the minimum and delivers the maximum. And we, through you, we also reassure the nation that the Indian Army will take care of the territorial integrity of the nation.
Absolutely. Lieutenant General Panu, let me come to you because what Lieutenant General Bhatia pointed out, the crisis on the northern borders, particularly for India, have been a prolonged one. 1.5 years since the military standoff in eastern Ladakh, and there's been very little progress on disengagement. Give us a sense of where we stand in terms of the talks with China. The 14th round of talks were just held. So what was the outcome? And how do you look at the year ahead? Do we see a resolution in sight, some kind of positive movement as far as the crisis on the northern border is concerned?
Tina, for years together, China has been viewing India from the prism of 1962. They have always been referring to the incidents of 62 and how badly the Indian Army fared and how badly the nation was embarrassed. But over a period of time, Chinese have been testing waters. We've not had a very serious engagement except at one or two places. In 1967, they really felt that India had undergone a change because we became very proactive in 1967. There have been a number of agreements and number of talks in which we understood that for 20 years, from 1993 onwards, for almost 20 years, we always withheld certain agreements, and those were the benchmarks on which we had our talks and understanding. But over a period of time, China has decided not to be seen as somebody who's rising without being seen. And I think China wanted to demonstrate it on Indian borders to demonstrate that it has arrived. Actually, they want to signal to the entire world that if they can threaten India, they can threaten the whole world. But I think they have got a rude shock that this time, Indian Army response-wise and also nation as resolve-wise withstood any challenge which came not only on the borders but also anywhere else, whether it talks about trade or dealing with the international fora. The Quad has come about. India has been very responsible and has also come up in international arena as a very recognized and responsible power. So over a period of time, I think the Chinese have started pushing more money into infrastructure and dealing with the Tibetan population because they feel that unless they push more infrastructure onto the borders, they bring in more military onto the borders, they will not be able to withstand the resistance that the Indian Army has put up. But I think sooner or later, this will also be dawned upon their own hierarchy that India cannot be attacked on the borders. Also, as far as the naval power is concerned, I think South China Sea is still a major concern for them. Taiwan is something where they still have a primary objective to make sure that they reclaim the territories towards Taiwan. But I think South China Sea, again, has heated up in a manner that they will not be able to open two fronts. And unfortunately for them, both fronts have become something which is a constant worry for China. So in order to prove that they have been able to arrive at the center stage in the world to threaten America, they have landed up also getting some kind of a resistance from all quarters. As far as India is concerned, the 14th co-commanders talk, yes and no. This is not the only talk which is going to resolve the matter. It has to be done politically, diplomatically, and also militarily in case there are some operational and tactical movements which are to be spoken about or to be resolved on the borders. Yes, the army representatives on ground like co-commander and div commanders will be able to do it. But largely, I think the two nations have to speak at the larger political and diplomatic level also. It just cannot be left to the co-commanders top.
Absolutely. And
but I think Army is going to withhold, on the line of actual control extremely well. And I think from that perspective, there's no worry that India should have.
Absolutely. Until a major breakthrough happens, we have to be prepared for any kind of exigency. Mr. Dutt, looking at the kind of security threat that we have been facing today, and it is going to continue for a long period of time, as is being suggested by a panelist looking at the ground situation, there has been need and strong demand for rapid modernization of our forces to deal with these security threats on the Western Front, on the Northern Front as well. And to that aspect, we've seen several efforts have been undertaken in the recent years for rapid modernization of our armed forces. If you could take us through some of the key steps, some of the important, significant measures that have been undertaken in the recent year, particularly in the last year, to strengthen our defense portfolio.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jha. And firstly, let me also wish everybody a very happy Indian Army Day. And also to your channel for taking it so well and putting us through what General Bhatia and General Pannu has said. And this is certainly shows the determination of and the resolve of the Indian Army, in particular Indian Armed Forces in general, to take on directly any problem which arises at our borders or elsewhere. Hard power, as you know, has to be, we have to be prepared to use hard power, and we have not been shying away from using it, and that's what our adversaries have recently felt. And therefore, it is also extremely a useful tool that we don't have to ultimately fall into any trap. You were asking about the development in the other sectors of the armed forces, and it is a very, very pertinent question, especially since we are now dealing also with the Chinese, and the Chinese would like, as General Pannu had said, to demonstrate their ability, and who else they can do it better with an adversary or a country which is right at the borders. Now, we have the ability of taking on the Chinese right from the time when they come into the Malacca Straits. And without coming into the Malacca Straits, they cannot enter the Indian Ocean. And our naval power has strengthened significantly on a basis that you can see. It's almost like something which can be demonstrated on the ground. We have now testing the aircraft carriers and the fleet along with the aircraft carriers. And our Sukhoi 30 MKI can fly to huge lengths with air fueling, mid-air air fueling. Now, with all this, we are able to take on the Chinese and surprise them where we want, when we want. And I think it is necessary to be able to demonstrate that and show our resolve that we can use it if necessary, whenever necessary. Now, the other thing about it, what we are doing is very, very good planning with the forces at the joint way of fighting. And for that, the exercises which have been taking place are extremely good and useful. And I recall even at the time when we were preparing for the 71 war, Field Marshal Manekshaw had visited, at that time General Manekshaw had visited us 4 times in the Western sector. And that shows that our commanders, the senior commanders, are prepared. Army, armed forces, wherewithal is not just for show. armed forces wherewithal is for use, and to use them jointly at different places. So whether it is land, sea, or air operations, all of them can be done together, and the resolve of the senior commanders of the three forces is quite direct, and it can be seen on the ground.
Okay.
The sectors where we think that our adversaries would be trying to make any kind of pincer movement are not just only the sectors where we are preparing for other sectors as well.
Okay.
And I think the more we are prepared, the lesser the chance would be for any kind of a direct conflict.
So when we talk about preparedness, Lieutenant General Yadav, the role of the infantry is very crucial because it is the only arm which has the advantage of, being present and fighting in all kinds of terrains, in all kinds of weather conditions. So looking at that kind of advantage and the crucial role it plays in combat, what is the kind of attention that the infantry has got in recent times when it comes to modernization and capacity enhancement?
Firstly, very happy Army Day to all your viewers. And before I come down to the prospects, I would like to convey 2-3 points, quick points. Firstly, we have to modernize ourselves with an objective. And what is the objective? Objective is to prepare our armed forces for a hybrid warfare under nuclear hang and create the kind of wherewithal that we have in the capability enhancement so that we create a credible deterrence so that our adversaries, they do not feel free to what they're doing as of now. Like General Bhatia and General Pannu and Mr. Shekhar Datta said, that China is sitting on another borders and Pakistan is fighting everyday battle in J&K. So therefore, in order to synergize our combat capabilities, we have to look at certain basic features, what we are actually looking at as on date. In that, the first and foremost is the battlefield transparency. That means night and air enablement is one part, and second is the network centricity of armed forces, so that there is a seamless communication between the three forces, that is Army, Navy, Air Force, and within Army amongst all the arms and services. Then we are looking at the higher lethality and accuracy of our firepower. And this firepower goes on to, relates to infantry, artillery, and mechanized forces and all other arms and services. Besides this, we have to see to it that our battlefield mobility gets enhanced. They get more protection against the enemy fire. Besides that, the jointmanship between the Army, Air Force, and all other elements, combat elements, that has got to be ensured. And in the hybrid warfare, what is a new parameter that is impacting onto a combat capability is the cyber security. So we have to now look at it very seriously. Besides that, the social media, psychological warfare, we have to take care of that. And not only that, the non-contact battle has permeated not only from military side into even in the civilian sectors also. So it is not only the military now, the nation has to prepare all the institutions of governance and the population for the kind of security threats that can be imposed. Now coming down to your point regarding infantry, yes, infantry is the cutting edge of Indian Army. We are there in Northeast and J&K on LC and everywhere else. And this is the main combat arm that we have. And infantry has got a major shortfall of the small arms that we have since last almost 2 decades. The INSAS weapon system that is being found not to be very good. Now we need a replacement, and a lot has been done in the recent past. Now you must have heard that AK-203, this rifle, that is a Russian design, that is going to be manufactured in Amethi. Prior to that, we have imported SIG 716 from US, around 12,400. And we are also looking at the 7 lakh assault rifles of AK series, 44,000. LMGs, then 44,600 carbines. And besides that, we are looking at the light weight bulletproof jackets that because the present lot is not very, the troops are not very happy with the present lot and it's not very good. Plus for the night vision devices, we are going in for the handheld thermal imagers for the infantry. And as far as mech forces are concerned, we are looking at the higher mobility and the protection of our equipment that we have.
Okay.
And as on date, just to give you certain data, that we have almost means we are looking at around 250 plus Arjun tanks. We are looking at around 1700 T90s and upgrading the existing T72 fleet. Plus, we also want to upgrade our mechanized forces, that is upgrading the BMP-2. As far as RT is concerned, there's a major overhaul of RT is required. We had 105 and 130 mm caliber guns so far. Now we want to graduate to 155. In that, we are looking at around more than 1,500 tow gun. And in that, the good news is that we have our indigenous Dhanush gun, which is being inducted now. And we are looking at around more than 800 guns, which are 800 plus mounted guns, around 100 self-propelled guns, and we are looking at 145 M's 777 ultra-light howitzer. This is for the mountainous areas.
Okay, Lieutenant General Bhatia, let me come to you, because what Lieutenant General Yadav has suggested, that there have been multiple efforts when it comes to capability enhancement, and but one very significant point that he raised is that today's warfare has undergone a paradigm shift, and to match the pace of our adversary when it comes to capabilities, when it comes to technology, is going to be a daunting task. There have been multiple efforts that we have undergone in the past 1 year or so, but obviously the road ahead is going to be very, very challenging ahead. So as we prepare ourselves to deal with the current crisis and also be future ready, what are the kind of challenges that we also face in the coming year? Lieutenant General Bhatia, that question is for you, sir.
Yes, I think you put it very right that we're going to be present, relevant, future ready. And the nature of future wars is changing very fast. We have the technology coming in, and anyone who controls the geotechnologies in the future also controls the geoeconomics, the geostrategy, and the geopolitics. So we have to ensure that we are technologically, we have the requisite technologies, especially when we look at unattended systems, whether they're aerial systems, the subsurface systems, surface systems. They are going to be the war-winning technologies for tomorrow. We have to look at the UAVs in a very big way, because that is what is going to help us in logistics and precision shootings, and of course in war fighting. We have to also look at the virtual societal warfare. And this is one domain, the information domain, which is changing very fast. If you look at the recent developments also, on the New Year's, the Chinese, that the Global Times tweeted, and the tweet was that not an inch of Galwan has been lost. And some of our people in India, that's part of psychological warfare, part of the warfare strategy which the Chinese have. Public opinion, psychological war, legal warfare. And they picked it up. And the Western Theatre Command, which looks after the northern borders with India, they debated on the Twitter, on the Weibo, where they said that they put a notice that not an inch of Galwan has been lost. And this anyone who puts that notice, repeats the notice on the notice board, 10 lucky winners on 1st of February will get a precious stone from Galwan. So what we're looking at is virtual societal warfare. So we should be prepared in the information domain also. So we'll have to look at all the new technologies, whether it's AI, blockchain, big data. We should look at robotics.
Absolutely, and this is where research and development going forth, Mr. Dutt, is going to be very important. Research and development is one area where we seem to be lagging behind. We are spending only about 0.08% of our GDP on research and development. as opposed to the United States of America, also China, which is our adversary. These countries are spending about 2 to 3% of their GDP on research and development. What are we doing in order to have an innovation ecosystem? And especially when it comes to defense technologies, the kind of use that we will be required to, bring it forth, especially in our defense systems?
You see, India, the faith of India has always been on its R&D capabilities, and therefore you would understand that and I was associated with it with Dr. Kalam in early 1980s, integrated guided missile development project, and very soon a whole range of missiles came about, and then when we started going into the outer space, the missiles were required to have ability to go on their own steam, and that is when the cryogenic engines were developed within India without any external help, because nobody would give us by law, legally, nobody was supposed to give us any technology regarding cryogenic engines, and we have done it, and therefore you would see that now the defense research and the capability development of the companies, both private and public sectors, along with the defense research institutions, and the Indian government's faith on the defense research has been constant. What is required more now is that the private sector also should put in money for development, and that also not for just for the heck of it, but for certain things which are very much required. And
certainly, all stakeholders will have to accelerate their efforts, especially when it comes to building an innovative ecosystem in the country. There's been a massive indigenization push that we have seen in recent years, especially when it comes to capability enhancement, also in terms of technology, as our panelists have suggested. But more and more efforts are required also from the private sector, especially when it comes to research and development. That is one core area where we have to put in more efforts, accelerate them as well in the times to come, to deal with any kind of exigencies when it comes to national security. Time is running out, so with that, I'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of Perspective Today. Thank you once again to all my guests for joining me on the program today and sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. It was indeed a pleasure having you on the program. So that's it from us on Perspective Today. Thanks very much to our viewers as well for their time.